And the strange thing we found is that L2 regularization has a very particular behavior on these information plots, and that it centers all of the lines to a single point. And the stronger is your penalty, the more sort of pull there is to that one point. And it's a strange behavior that hasn't been shown before. So before we just saw compression, sort of all of them going left, or no compression, all of them going right. But here, once they reach this point, somewhere at 0.9 here and 5 here, they just stop there and they're stationary. So when we have the penalty of L2 of 0.5%, we have two layers kind of converging to it. With 1.5%, we already have 3 layers converged to it. And the first one, like another layer, kind of wants to go there. And with L2 at 2.5, almost all 4 layers are converged to this one point. And this layer is, in the very beginning. So L2 regularization does something special to the information. All these are using ReLU, by the way. So if before here, this is the average. This is 15 initializations of ReLU. Nothing's happening. This is 15 initializations of ReLU, but with L2, a lot of stuff is happening. So it has very strange effect on.
So just ask, this is probably a really stupid experiment, but were you to repeat the experiment again, and with L2 regularization, but take out the gradient update component of the cost function, what would those plots look like?
Gradient update.
How do you take out this?
No, you take out you've got 2 terms if you once you add regularization. You have the Jacobian for the cost entropy function, and you have the L2 regularization term.
Yeah.
If you take out the cost entropy term and just leave the L2 alone, what would happen?
I don't know. It's a very good question.
You mean minimize the L2 only?
Yes.
So
Then you would get to 0.
I don't know. What would these plots do then? Would they all just form a spider's? Will they just form an octopus that goes straight to the middle, to a singular point, or not?
it might, because I think the first term, the cross entropy term, is the one that pushes these lines upwards, and L2 is probably something that's pulling them somewhere.
Exactly.
So maybe the interplay between these two arguments is actually moving this sort of gravity well somewhere closer
So
to.
wouldn't L2 just mean it goes towards 0?
No, because you've got different plays when you do the activation functions. Will have different effects as the activation functions. When you have your, think of a rectifier linear unit.
But L2 is by definition information free, right? So whenever
No, but it's entropy. But you've got entropy activations, entropy dependent activations that go through non-linearities. So it will not be linear.
you would expect regularization to minimize the entropy, the information stored in a.
With adaptive binning, I don't know.
I think
That would be an
yeah.
interesting control.
But isn't it a bit of a strange thing that you have all these networks learning something, yet their behavior is so widely different?
Yeah, exactly. So
Could it be that there might not be actually
before the previous papers were like, yes, they're doing this, that's why they're great, or like, no, they're not doing it, they're great because of something else. But this is seems to be a very different behavior, and we don't actually know why this is happening, and there's so much finer properties of it here. And before we could say, maybe these are just the product of our estimation, but we see very sort of particular things here, like things are being pulled to a single point. I don't think that you can. These plots are just, a product of my estimation. So maybe. There are debates whether this is actual information or this is something else that we're seeing, but this behavior is still complex, and I think there is a lot of stuff that can be done in order to understand it.
It's like reading the entrails of the neural network.
Yeah, there is actually a paper at iClear now, I think under review, that when they look at the time frames for L2 regularization, they say, well, if you apply L2 regularization in the beginning of training, it has a lot of effect, but then in the late stage of the training, it's very bad, you shouldn't do that. And I think it kind of links to that. So in the beginning, if you have your gravity point somewhere high up, it helps your layers to go up in the information plane, but then instead of actually clustering them somewhere where you don't want, you switch off your L2 regularization and you have, they carry on doing the thing that they would have naturally done. So I think this gives kind of a vantage point on all these techniques that we are using, but looking at them differently. Although I must say, I didn't include this in the paper, but that I've used batch normalization with these networks, and that had absolutely no effect on these planes. They just
But that is, because presumably adaptive binning is not going to be affected by batch normalization.
no, but
And on the predictive performance?
predictive performance.
I'm struggling. You say always the predictive form all the same, but from a mutual information evolution of the mutual information point of view, you see a lot of different things.
Yeah.
And so I try to see then what's the usefulness. What does mutual information evolution tells me then?
Well, I guess that's up for us to interpret. That's an open area of research. So this is more of an empirical paper saying that there is all this, weird behavior, and L2 regularization improved the training as it should, because before that the networks were unregularized, so they were doing a bit of a crazy thing. And similar with batch normalization, but then batch normalization improved my training, didn't do anything with mutual information. L2 improved my training, but also, started doing this with the information in the network.
Would you expect the same behavior with dropout?
Dropout.
Yeah.
Might be, yeah. I would also be interesting to see what L1 does. Maybe there's something even more particular that happens there.
So you didn't use any dropout?
No.
If you use dropout, you start messing with your noise and whatnot, because all of a sudden you have like this Gaussian noise pattern around your activation, and all of a sudden it goes to zero. So like these plots, I would expect them to start looking very weird if you apply dropout.
Yeah, because exactly. There was a lot of talk from the original paper from Tishby that compression is preventing overfitting, and that's why neural networks are able to generalize. So we decided to look at that in a more systematic way. So we developed a simple compression score for a particular initialization or for a number of initializations, and it's quite simple. So it's basically a percentage of how much you've compressed from your maximum observation. So if we take a line, say this line, okay, so its maximum value was 9, and then the value that it ended the training, like its compressed representation is 5.6, then it's compressed about 30%. So, and that's how we derive this score. It's quite an intuitive way to just look at these lines and see, well, yeah, it's about 30% compression, like full compression. And when we plot the different activation values here, there is sort of a dependency, but the p-value for this line is 35. So we said that compression doesn't really matter; it doesn't make your network stronger. And but the interesting result was here. So we looked at the compression scores for all the hidden layers, and then compression scores of the last layer. And what we saw that all the compression that's happening inside your hidden layers is irrelevant, because even though there is some